Hi everybody, here today to talk to you about a great new product on the market, the Trolling Tube by Kayak Carl. And this is really a great product, and when you look at the features of it, it really stands out from the rest of the market, and I just want to take a moment here to show you how. First we're going to start off, this is that hard to find translucent wine color. Only very few companies have this available, and it's a deadly color. No matter what time of year, where you're fishing, this translucent red always seems to be a great producer. And Carl's also just come out with a new pink bubblegum translucent tube too. And those are two of the hottest and most popular colors out there. Now, when we get down to the construction of the tube, you can see a couple of things that are normal in every tube, and a couple of things that set this tube apart from the rest. He's got great hardware and great construction on here. He uses great sharp Gamakatsu hooks. He's using heavy-duty swivels up front, and the wire, which is what sets it apart from the rest, is a stainless steel, single-strand, moldable wire. Everybody else is using a multiple strand or a flexible wire, something that's got no memory. Now Carl's gone here, and he's used heavy-duty stainless wire, and you can take this tube and mold it however you want. He recommends just taking it, wrapping it around your arm, and then just pulling it out a little bit. And that sets a perfect corkscrew into that tube. So as it goes through the water now, it's going to spin and undulate, and that is exactly what you want. Nobody else has this, and this is why Kayak Carls tubes are the best out there. Now, if you're new to the tube and worm, this is one of, if not the best lures that you can use in the kayak for striped bass, weak fish, bluefish, you name it. Now, the key part to the tube and worm is also the worm. Some guys use bloodworms, some guys say you can use regular earthworms. The standard is to go with live sandworms. Now, you don't want to take a full-length sandworm and just hook them on here. There's a little bit of a trick to it. You take your sandworm, your first one for the day, and you stick the hook in his mouth or in the back of him, and you thread it up the hook as far as you can. You keep pushing it up there. And what that's going to do is that's going to get the scent and the blood from that worm up into the tube. And then you're going to leave about 1 inch to 2 inches hanging off and trim off that worm. So now when this thing's going through the water, spinning around, and that bass comes up, if he short strikes you, he's not going to catch 6 inches of worm and rip off your worm. He's got to come up and get that hook to get that worm. So that's a great little tip if you're getting a lot of short bites or you're losing a lot of worms. Now, when you start fishing this, you want to do slow. You want to go just slow enough that you're not getting caught on the bottom. If you're not getting caught every once in a while, or you're not getting seaweed, you're going too fast. So what many people do is they'll start their forward momentum in the kayak, they'll lob the tube out behind them as far as they can, and then they'll just start gradually letting that line slow until they get to the depth that they want to get it. You can put the rod in the rod holder at that point, or you can hold on to it, whatever you want to do. Now, one of the key things to remember is, as this tube's spinning through the water, you're going to get a little bit of action on your rod. Maybe similar to a bomber or a darter. It's not going to be pounding crazy like you would with a bunker spoon. But what's going to happen is these bass are going to come and they're going to hit this tube, and you're going to feel that rod shake, or you're going to hear the drag pull out just a little bit. Don't immediately reach and grab for that rod and set that hook. If you do it, you're going to miss and you're going to lose a lot of fish. These fish will oftentimes hit it twice, or what they'll do is they'll come and they'll set the hook on themselves. So if you see that rod bounce once, just wait a second, let it bounce again, or let that line start running off consistently, then grab the rod out of your holder or engage your free spool and start fighting that fish. Alright, let's talk a second about your tube and the action you want on it. Odds are, if you go into a tackle shop and you buy a tube other than a Kayak Carl, when you get home, it's going to look like this. When you tie it onto your setup and you throw it out in the water and it's going through the water, it's going to look like this. And it's not going to do what you want it to do. You want this tube to spin and undulate through the water and acts as an attractor. The tube is going to get the fish's attention, and the smell coming off of that sandworm or the oil is what's going to draw that fish in to strike. It's a two-pronged attack, and you need both to work. Now, some of the other tubes on the market, they don't have this hard wire core. So if you wanted to get a nice corkscrew action, you had to take this tube and you had to leave it tied in a knot all the time when you weren't fishing. Or you had to wrap it around your rod, or you had to keep bringing it in and bending it real quick to put some memory into it. And then 10 minutes later or one fish later, it would be straightened out again. But with these Kayak Carls tubes, wonderful thing here, just take it. You don't have to wrap it around. Whatever is easiest for you. You can take both ends and push together and form that corkscrew. Whatever you want. Get it how you want. Pull it out just a little bit and let that sucker rip. You follow this little tip and you can have tons of fish on your line. The next thing I want to talk about is your setup that you're going to use when trolling the tube. Basically, you're going to start with your tackle. It's going to be a medium to a medium heavy rod. Typically conventional, you can use spinning, that's not a problem. You can use mono, you can use braid, or you can use lead core. It depends on how deep you want to go, where you're fishing, what you're targeting. So it's a matter of personal preference and trying out a couple different things and seeing what works best for you. Now, off your main line, first thing it's going to come up to is good quality barrel swivel. You want to use a ball bearing swivel, and you want to use a good one. Do not skimp out here, or you're going to have twisted lines, and you're not going to have good results. So after that barrel swivel, you want a 3 to 4 foot leader. You can do mono if mono is fine. Fish aren't going to be spooked by a little bit of mono leader when you've got this tube here. Looks like nothing in nature. You got a big barrel swivel. You might have an optional rudder. Don't worry about mono or fluoro. You can use a 3 to 4 foot mono leader. 30, 40, 50 pound test is fine. If you want to go heavier, some guys even go up to 80. After that, tie it onto your swivel here and you're good to go.